Hi, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today discussing the topic Digital Marketing Trends. My name is Hiba Abbasi, and on behalf of the University of Manchester Middle East Center, I would like to welcome you all and thank you for taking the time to join the session today. We are very delighted to have with us our alumni speaker, Syed Asim Rashid. And Syed has been one of our very old and dear and senior alumni who's joined the MBA in 2012. And I had the honor to be his advisor at that time, but we've come a long way as an alumni now, and we're very pleased to have him deliver this webinar as part of our alumni speaker series. Just a little bit about Asim. Syed Asim Rashid is an award-winning, internationally recognized leader known for business turnarounds, developing leaders, and creating solid shareholder value. Asim is the president and CEO of Creative Swan, a company that helps organizations and startups become increasingly successful by improving their strategy, operations, financials, design and technology, and capacity building initiatives. He is an ex-regional director at GE Energy, General Electric, and has worked in leadership capacity with Exxon and Grove. He has started his career with Siemens. Asim holds an MBA from Manchester Business School, the University of Manchester. He has an MSc in Global Energy Management from the University of Colorado, Denver, and electrical engineering degree from NED University in Karachi. Asim focuses on leadership and has studied advanced business and leadership at Harvard, MIT, Wharton, Booth, and INSEAD. Asim is a GE-trained coach and holds a Six Sigma Green Belt from GE. Asim also holds Train the Trainer certificates from both ATD USA, the Association for Talent Development, and from the American Management Association, AMA. Asim, thank you very much for joining us today and welcome to the webinar.
Thank you very much, Eva. Pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Great. So shall we take a start?
Yes, I think everybody is just want to know more about digital marketing trends and what the current, actually present and future hold in digital marketing trends and in artificial intelligence. So I guess we're all ears.
Perfect, perfect. So first of all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about digital marketing trends. Thanks to Manchester Business School and Hiba and the team of Manchester Business School for having me here. So let's take a start. So Hiba has already talked about in detail about myself, Syed Asim Rashid. You can call me Asim. But just to brief you a little bit about what do we do in Creative Swan. We are basically a consulting company which works in consulting, advisory, coaching, customized workshops, and capacity building initiatives. We work for all industries, and we work in certain areas which are like strategy, operations management, improving productivity and efficiency, providing financial advisory to organizations, design and tech support, behavior-based safety, and all these goes through different set of industries, right from energy to FMCG. As Iba just mentioned, I'm a Manchester Business School graduate, and many times people ask me what was the key takeaway for me from my MBA. Basically, after the MBA, I actually became an entrepreneur. So in my view, whether you are looking to do an MBA for the sake of becoming an entrepreneur or taking a different route, different journey, or maybe to get the next level into your job, I would say learning and development is definitely a great idea. So the place from where I'm working right now, working from home, as you can see right in my background, here is my Manchester Business School card that I always keep with me. It reminds me of the golden days of the MBA. So since Hiba has already done the introduction and we have all the details about myself, and you can further trace me down at LinkedIn by putting my name. and then maybe we can, get connected to that. So we'll take a start with this question, and it's a poll. So very soon you will see on your screens this poll, and then we will see the result. So I work in the field of digital marketing. We just want to understand how many of you are associated with digital marketing one way or the other. Just answer yes or no. The poll is open right now, as you can see on the screen. And I hope it's okay if I keep drinking my coffee.
I think we have the votes in. We have 24 said yes, and 76% said no.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. So 76%. So roughly we can say that we have 25% audience who are associated with the field, and 75% are not associated directly or indirectly with the field, but maybe future aspirants. So what I would try to do is I would try to run the conversations at a level where actually we can talk about some of the basics, and then we go into some of the advanced as well, so everybody can have a good flavor of what is happening and how you can learn about some of these concepts. So digital marketing itself is a rapidly evolving field. It's not a new field. It has been there for quite some time. And one of the beautiful things about digital marketing, which has emerged in the last 2 to 3 weeks or 4 weeks, where most of the people are sitting in lockdown, is that it is one of those professions that you can actually perform sitting from your home. So this is again an area which is going to further expand in the post-coronavirus world, in which people will understand that there are a lot of professions where people actually go and work from home. And some of these professions actually continue even in the crisis, because you can understand that the companies will have demand for digital marketing to sustain their businesses and promote their activities and all that. So this is one of the rapidly evolving fields when it comes to employment. So let's take a look at the first trend. And I would say this first trend, artificial intelligence, is the first, and I would say the foremost trend. It is sort of a bedrock on which all of the remaining trends are actually sitting. It's the foundational trend. But artificial intelligence looks like a black box to many people at times. So let me just simplify it a bit. When I was graduating from my engineering, that was a time when a lot of conversations and discussions were happening around artificial intelligence, and theories are already there, concepts were evolving. And we're talking about roughly 27 years ago. Artificial intelligence, in simple way, is a replication of human brain. So you take the human brain and you sort of create another brain, and that is artificial intelligence. For example, some of you may remember the Sophia robot. You ask Sophia robot questions, right? And Sophia robot answers those questions. Now, Sophia robot's programmer has to think about all the possible questions that can be asked to the Sophia robot. Now, if you look at all those questions, there's like a huge bunch of questions that's going to be, asked. And you have to feed those questions and their answers into the system of the robot, just like a human brain. And then the machine, the software, or the robot itself is going to answer the questions based on a memory comparison with whatever has been fed by the software program into the mind or the brain of the bot, of the machine, or the software. So this is artificial intelligence. However, please understand that there is a possibility that the questions that you're asking to the machine, somebody may ask questions which are not exactly fed in the right words into the machine. However, there were like 2, 3 different questions which, if combined, can create an answer for that. So when your machine start to become smarter itself and take 2 or 3 different questions and combine the answers and then generate an answer which was actually not fed into the system, that's where the new concept evolves, which is called machine learning. then you say that, wow, the machine is learning and machine is becoming more and more intelligent and smart. So when it comes to digital marketing, the first and the key trend is artificial intelligence itself. Just think about it that in a recent survey, almost 84% of the people and the respondents said that artificial intelligence will allow companies and individuals to obtain and sustain or obtain or sustain a competitive advantage. So this is about the survival, the growth of the businesses in future. And as you can see from some of the data that I've shared on the slide, that 67% of the consumers are actually using artificial intelligence. They're chatting with chatbots these days, and have no idea that they are already using artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is going to change the world in a big way. Now, let me give you a scenario. So, how many of you have experienced that
Um,
you
Asim,
are talking about a subject?
Asim,
Yes.
may I interrupt?
Yes.
I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt, but we've been receiving messages that the audio is breaking up. So do you think there's something that we can do to improve the quality of the voice?
Just one second.
Perhaps turn off the camera or
Yeah, I think let's do it. If we could turn off the camera.
if you can turn off the webcam, then possibly we'll give it a try. I think with the
Yeah, sure.
heavy use of internet and sometimes the networks in some countries does not sustain that much of good quality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just switched it off, and let's
Okay. I
give
think
it a try and then see how it goes.
right. Let's see. Let's give it a try now. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
Okay, carry on. Thank you so much. So please, as I talk, let me know if it gets a little better or not, because every time we switch on webcam, things get definitely better. So talking about artificial intelligence, how it works, and the survey results, I think most of the people must have experienced one way or the other that if they are talking about something and then they look at their smartphone after a while, they actually find something which was exactly part of their discussion. So that means your smartphone somehow, some way, is actually listening to your conversations. And then when you go back to your social media, and it actually starts to show campaigns, ads, and other things, which are actually relevant to the taste or the conversation that you just had. So I'm sure if you guys think about it, you will remember that in many cases, some of the conversations that you were having are being heard by the machines, and they are intelligently using artificial intelligence, trying to show you some of the products and services and things that may be of interest to you. So artificial intelligence in the digital marketing era is contributing in big way by understanding the customer personas and trying to show you something that you're actually interested in terms of learning, in terms of buying, in terms of getting to know about it, etc. So this was about artificial intelligence. So before I move to the next slide, Hiba, is the sound quality better than before?
It's better. Awesome. Yes. Thank you very much.
Oh, great. Okay, so the second trend is about chatbots. And again, as we just mentioned in the beginning, the increased use of chatbots in the world is going to just enhance the applications of artificial intelligence more and more. So chatbots, everybody understand what's a chatbot, right? But you understand how it applies to the use and applications. So chatbots are generally used where you have routine and repetitive kind of tasks. So you have standardized tasks in which you are just supposed to get standardized answers. That's where chatbots are very, very helpful in digital marketing. So routine and repetitive tasks. Chatbots, unlike humans, they also have a lot of patience. So you can deal with them, you can keep asking them questions, and they generally don't lose patience. Chatbots are contributing left and right in basic communication. They are helping with content creation. They are helping with email personalization. And I was reading a study by Oracle in which they said that by 2020, 80% of the businesses would like to have chatbots, right? And if you look at some of the companies, the way they are operating, they already have chatbots in operation. So look at my picture here. Can you guess who is with me here? Now, interestingly, I am right now standing next to a chatbot, and this chatbot is called Rammas. Rammas, like Rammas. The people who live in the UAE are very familiar with Rammas because Rammas is a chatbot of DIVA. DIVA is Dubai Electricity and Water Authority. So Rammas is a chatbot that is actually helping the customers and consumers by providing answers based on written communication and based on audio. And Rabbas has got a level of intelligence as well, because as you can see, I'm standing next to Rabbas in an exhibition in Dubai, the VETEX conference, and I asked many questions to Rabbas, and I got very, very interesting answers. Just for your interest, Rabbas means a chatting person in the local dialect, the local Emirati dialect. The use of chatbots is going to increase more and more. Look at the world today. In today's world, if you have no employees who can sit together and answer your queries from a call center, the chatbots like Rammas in the future are going to take over and make your life much, much easier. So from here, we go to the next poll question. And the question is right now there. Amit, we need your help in opening the poll, Amit or Hiba. And here is a question. You have to answer either yes or no. Okay, so can we take a look at the poll results? Hiba or Amit?
Yes, Asim, we have 92% said yes and 8% said no.
So 92% feel that it's really, really annoying. Thank you very much, Hiba. That's
Yeah.
a very interesting number.
Okay. Sure.
Very interesting number. And every time we do this poll, we find the number is actually increasing. This takes us to the next strength, personalization. So, in the world of digital marketing, there was a time when you just take one message, you create one message, and you just send it to hundreds and hundreds of people over, postal emails or catalogs or direct emails or whatever. But the world has changed today, right? The world has really, really changed. Now, nobody likes those emails which are like, you know, batch and blast kind of an email. People like to see triggered emails which are personalized. So interestingly, you just said 92% gets annoyed. The survey results that I had from a previous poll, 63% consumers are highly annoyed with generic advertising blasts, and you said 92%, right? And again, 90% of the consumers claim they find personalization appealing. So everybody likes personalized triggered emails based on the behavior, and that is definitely better than batch and blast kind of email. So in future, it's more about making it personal and personal. So let's take one example of the chocolate company Cadbury. Cadbury actually some times ago created a personalized video campaign, and they said, okay, so let's take a look at one of our product, which is dairy milk flavor. And let's try to look at the users based on the data from their Facebook profile, things like their age and their interests and their physical location. And then they ran a campaign around that product and tried to see the results when they send the personalized items, personalized messages to people. Now, interestingly, the result and the campaign result generated a click-through rate of 65%. The click-through rate is like it's a terminology in digital marketing, so people call it CTR as well. So the campaign generated 65% CTR and a 33.6% conversion rate, right? So this really shows that people like to see personalized thing, and personalization is going to be on the rise. That means a lot of sincere efforts, before you really move on to the next thing. The next trend is about video marketing, right? So some times ago, Microsoft published a study and they came up with, with a very interesting result. The result said that the species that has the shortest attention span, which can be distracted pretty quickly, is an animal. And interestingly, that animal is a goldfish. And the distraction time or the attention span time for the goldfish is around 9 seconds. Now, the Microsoft study a few years ago came up with a number, interestingly, and said that the human species have an attention span which is now less than a goldfish. So human attention span was 8 seconds. Now, I doubt if you measure the human attention span in 2020 today, I think it's probably even less than 8 seconds. I mean, everybody wants to take a look at what's popping up with social media, and the next second they want to see the next. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people are actually focusing on the first few seconds of whatever they are trying to do. So, based on a lot of digital marketing methods and channels like presentations and pitches and sales calls and sending infographics, creating manuals, the new results are saying that the most preferred way people want to learn about a new product, a new service, or a new experience is by short video. And the short video, 68% people said that they would like to learn something using a short video. The short video is on the rise. I also, try to make a comparison of how do you define a short video. So if you get a very interesting WhatsApp video, which is from somebody you know and you really want to see that video, you will discover that if the video is, a few minutes long, you're probably going to say to yourself that it is very interesting, very important. I'm going to see it tonight, and that tonight never comes. So generally, a short video, which is in the range of like 15 seconds, is being most watched right now. It's no longer even 30 seconds. So you have to do something within the first 3 to 5 seconds to catch the attention and then make sure that people move on and actually look at the entire video. The 15 seconds videos right now are being considered as the most effective in terms of people watching them completely. The next trend is influencer marketing. So as we all remember and understand, marketing has always been about celebrities. So people, follow celebrities and then they just follow the way they get dressed up, the watches that they wear, the causes that they actually perform, or the type of work that they do. However, in this new digital world, as you can see, the influencers have also changed. So for example, as you can see from this picture as well, there is a British supermarket called Iceland. And Iceland actually partnered with a video channel on YouTube called Channel Mom, and they actually market their products to them. Now, people like to follow celebrities, but at the same time, people like to connect with people who actually are like them. So, for example, a lot of moms they actually follow Channel Mom, and they get influenced by these moms who are actually using some of these products in their operation, in day-to-day home, and all that. So, influencer marketing is also about the fact that you find the right influencers who may not be celebrities, but at the same time, they are going to create more impact on your products. And also, there is another important thing which digital marketing and artificial intelligence technology can help you with, is that they actually can go and match your product with the right influencer on the social media. And then they say that, okay, this particular influencer is telling you that they can help you with digital marketing, but actually they are not good in certain areas where your product is supposed to be sold. So artificial intelligence can actually help you identifying the right set of influencers. So the definition of influencer market or marketing is also going to be changed in the future to come. So here we take a short break, and if there are any questions on these areas that we have talked about, you can
Yes,
raise those
Asim.
questions.
We
And we
have a
can
couple
take
of
like,
questions.
great, 2 to 3 questions we can take right now, and then we can take the rest towards the end.
Right. So we'll start with a question from Sartak. Sartak is asking, artificial intelligence and chatbots have potential to take away repetitive tasks away from humans. How do you see artificial intelligence and chatbots affecting such jobs?
That's a great question. So there are plenty of studies which have been made about this subject. And one of the studies tells us that between now and 2030, approximately 47 to 53% of the jobs in today's format will be gone. They will be vanished. They will be they will be evaporated in thin air. But there will be new types of jobs which will be created. So, for example, there will be jobs created around designing chatbots, for example, programming chatbots, optimizing chatbots, maintaining chatbots. So whatever jobs will be lost in terms of manual, routine, and repetitive tasks, they will be taken over by a little specialized job. So some jobs will be gone, but they will be replaced by even better jobs. And this is also the same phenomenon that happened in every industrial revolution. So, for example, when the first industrial revolution came in and muscle power was replaced by steam engines, everybody said that a lot of jobs are gone. But interestingly, even more jobs were created as part of the second industrial revolution, mass production, all that. So I think people will need to upskill, reskill, and retrain themselves to stay relevant in the world of work in future. Yes, but next question.
Next question is from Cedric. I think he was referring to one of the slides, I think the marketing stats. He's asking about possibly the reference of the stats. Where did you come up with the stats? Cedric, can you clarify if this is the marketing slide that you were referring to?
If I may interrupt, Cedric
Yes.
is actually referring to a stat related to, a stat related to video marketing, and particularly about the attention span that people are having. Is there something to sort of back this the statement that you've just mentioned?
Yes, exactly. So the attention span that I talked about, that's a study that was conducted by Microsoft Canada, in which they said that the goldfish attention span is 9 seconds and human attention span is 8 seconds. If you Google like Microsoft study on human attention spans, you will find that report and all those analysis. So the reference is Microsoft study on attention spans of human, and also just add up goldfish so that it can take you to the right place.
Right. So the next question is, I'm sure it does. The next question is about what is the most effective digital channel to reach consumers, and how to apply chatbots in pharma, environment, or healthcare field, and what are the metrics and analytics or KPIs that they can use to track?
Okay, so what was the first part? The channel. Okay, so for the channel, we have to, for the channel, actually, I have a slide which will come and talk a little bit more about channel. Actually, channel is all about personalization. So you have to understand who is your target audience. So for example, if you are trying to sell a product to 16 to 23-year-old, what's the best way to go about it? Which social media channel you would like to use? Definitely Instagram, right? If you are looking towards older millennials, then you should be looking more towards Facebook. But it all depends upon the product that you have, the strategy that you have, because a lot of people, you will find that a lot of people who are 60 plus are on Instagram as well, and they're really enjoying it. So I would say the answer lies in your study of customer persona building. And once you understand the persona of your customers, then you adopt the right channel. There's no one right channel that can solve all of your problems. Some people say, oh, you have to be everywhere. So you just pick up like YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Pinterest, everything else. Well, then you are probably spreading yourself too wide, and sometimes, you get diluted as well. So you may have to see where your majority of the customers are there. You take a start from there, and gradually you expand it to whatever level you can afford in terms of resources. The second question was about using it in pharma or healthcare. So in pharma and healthcare, there is a huge application, and a lot of people are actually working. Majority of them are in the US, and they're actually trying to create a physician liaison using these chatbots. So for example, a lot of people who would contact the doctors in the past, They would contact the doctors indirectly through these chatbots to actually help them organizing their arrangements, their patient visits, timings, and all those details. And that's where they can actually get the traction for some of those things. Eva, we can take one more question and
One
then
more
we'll move
question.
on. Yes.
Okay. In the B2B between manufacturer or supplier with marketplace online applications, supplier is dependent on what the marketplace application can offer. Therefore, digital marketing strategy of the supplier besides their own expertise cannot prevail unless marketplace players can match these expertise. What should be the approach of the supplier or manufacturer in this situation, specifically in the context of expertise in this region?
Okay, so digital marketing is a concept that is in a nascent stages of some part of the world. In some parts of the world, it's still in the nascent stage. So people are actually more comfortable with face-to-face interactions. People are more comfortable with telephone talks, and that's where it is being evolving or being developed. Now, I think some of this, some part of this question actually refers to the area. So actually, what you can do is that you can create a combo of strategies. So maintain the strategy, which is actually working in the region for quite some time, and start gradually transferring or shifting the manual, routine, and repetitive kind of tasks towards artificial intelligence. So the first application of artificial intelligence, even in the most complex technological companies in Silicon Valley, is coming up in the area of routine repetitive tasks. So automating the manual tasks which can be done efficiently. So I would say create a strategy which is a mix of the two, and that's where you get the traction.
Should
So
we
we'll
move
take more
on or?
questions towards the yes,
Yeah,
Eva. We'll move on and we'll take more questions towards the end of the
towards the
session.
end. Okay,
So
sure.
yeah, you're welcome. So the sixth very interesting trend is about social messaging apps. So many times people look at social media in terms of only Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest and all those things, but the messaging apps itself are creating a huge opportunity for reaching out to your consumers and customers. So here's some interesting data. If you look at this data, then you can see the number of use of messaging apps, different messaging apps, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, WeChat, being at the top. Look at the number of WhatsApp, 1.6 billion. 1.6 billion, and that's a huge number of user base. Now, I also looked at some interesting data recently, which actually told me that on Facebook, 10 billion messages are exchanged every month between people and businesses. 10 billion, 1 month, people and businesses. Now, look at the WhatsApp. How many WhatsApp messages are exchanged every day? Any guesswork in your minds? Just put a number in your mind, right? 55 billion messages per day. 55 billion messages per day are being exchanged on WhatsApp. And I'm sure with this, virus and all those things, the number must have increased much, much more than that. So look at the opportunity of reaching out to people. It's huge. Now, for your interest, if you combine the top three, which is WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and WeChat together, you will actually find out that the total is greater than YouTube or the Facebook itself. So look at the power of social messaging apps. The key thing is how you use social messaging apps in terms of creating information. It also goes back to the video part that we discussed. The short videos, which are short in length, very catchy in the first 3 to 5 seconds, they're going to be very, very interesting. And that's where you can reach out to a lot of people. So social messaging apps are playing a great role in terms of growth in digital marketing. Hard of course to miss this trend. The next trend is about the micro movements. Micro movements is a very interesting trend, which is just increasing day by day. Micro movements are those intent-rich movements where you actually have an intent to do something, where you actually want to do something right away. So, for example, you want some information and you just want it right now. You're picking up your mobile phone and you're just looking for that information. You need it now. You're deciding to go for a meal somewhere. You just want to go there, right? It's a go move. Or is something you want to do. So, for example, you have just, you know, discovered a very interesting e-learning module and you really want to go and learn it right away. That's a do. And then there's a moment where you have heard about something or something which was supposed to get launched is launched and you just want to jump and buy it. So micro movements. Now the companies, businesses which are actually ready to respond to the customer in terms of good website, good information, complete information, personalized information. These are the organizations which are going to benefit from this micro. So they will understand their customer persona very, very well. And that's where they will jump and create a website or create an app or a solution that when people are getting mentally into their micro movements, then that's where they actually jump and move on. So for example, if we look at different parts of the world, every country, every region has one specific hour where the food delivery is on the rise, is on the peak. Now, it's different in different parts of the world, but you see, that is the point. That's the time when the food delivery merchandisers should have the best micro moment managed websites where they can actually help the customer right away and create an experience which could actually help them in terms of getting what they want. The next trend is about the voice search. And when we talk about voice search, of course, we are talking about the Alexas and all those things. A voice search and smart speakers is also a very, very rising trend in digital marketing. We always see when we talk about the tech, there is always an assumption or a perception that only people actually who are not technologically savvy are slow at coming on the tech itself. But if you look at this data, this tells you a very important and very interesting matrix. And it tells you this data in different ways. So if you look at the first two bars, where you see 18 to 24 years of age and 25 to 64 years of age, you will see in the light color that when the question is asked, how often will you use your voice devices in the future, 18 to 24-year-olds and 25 to 64. The difference between them is 4 percentage points, 57 to 61%. Because talking to Alexa, talking to a smart speaker is pretty easy for anyone, right? It's irrespective of the age. So this trend is going to be big and big in the future. Similarly, if you look at the smartphone, speaker, tablet, and wearables, then also you can see here that wearables has the highest trend, followed by tablet, speaker, and smartphone. Now, why wearables? Because we wear something like a Fitbit, and then we go out. We want to run during this running session. We want to listen to something. We want to listen to our favorite music. We want to talk to someone while doing jogging. We also want to look at our data, our stats. So wearables or Fitbit type of gadgets, they are going to be big and big in use, and that's where also you can see that how your digital marketing strategy is playing out. Is this going to impact some of those areas or not? Ninth trend is about augmented reality and immersive technologies. Now, just for those of you who are not very familiar between the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality. So virtual reality is actually a virtual reality, as the name says. So you actually put on a headset on your head, and then you get into a virtual world, which is created through a software, and you actually get into an environment where you become part of the environment. So that is where the virtual reality part. And then you have the augmented reality. In the augmented reality, basically what you do is you take a real situation like your room, and then actually you augment it with something else. So for example, you want to put a new furniture in your room. You take a picture of your room, and then from a supplier furniture, you start putting the furniture and rotating it in different parts of the room so that you can take a look at how is it going. Similarly, you can also look at some software that actually help you in terms of how your makeup would look like on your face without actually going to the shop. That's another very, very helpful trend. Now, if you look at a more particular specific example, then you can think of IKEA's software, which is IKEA's app called IKEA Place. Now, in IKEA's Place, you basically take a picture of your room, and then you test drive IKEA's furniture in the entire room. And that actually helps you in terms of understanding what's looking good, what actually works, what doesn't work. Now, this AR and VR market is really growing in billions of dollars. It's a great market. And the way I look at it from my standpoint, I can see that augmented reality is going to beat virtual reality, at least for the foreseeable future, because augmented reality actually allows you to live the moment with something real. In virtual reality, you actually go into a virtual environment and you just live the moment right in that particular environment. And that's the way it goes. Now, for your interest, as you can see, artificial intelligence is in action here as well. So for example, artificial intelligence is going to understand your tastes. So for example, if you are on IKEA's app and you, let's say, make a selection once in a room, then actually next time when you will go to IKEA's app, now this time the software understands you with your login details and all that, and it will act smarter. So if last time you have selected a particular color, a particular shade, then it would start to show some of those things to you in advance as a first option, as a first priority. And this would actually go back to our discussions around personalization. So everybody likes to have a personalized experience. They would like to see if what they are getting out of the digital marketing is something which is relevant to them, not something which is not actually relevant to these people, and they are just going to experience around this. The next trend is a very interesting one. It's a UGC, or user-generated content. So this is another very interesting concept in which, instead of putting your own marketing budgets and marketing channels, how about you create a situation where the users, the consumers, actually take your product. And once they take your product, they actually use it. And while using it, they actually create an experience. And in that experience, they create a video. And that video is uploaded somewhere where actually a lot of people could watch it and they could generate an experience. So as you can see here, there's an example of GoPro, the camera, the adventure camera that you can mount on your body. And then you can do adventurous sports and it's going to create your videos. So GoPro created a YouTube channel itself. And in that channel, instead of putting the videos themselves, they said, okay, so you are the users of our product. You come and you put on your videos. And people, they feel crazy about it because sometimes they also create competitions, best of the best awards and things like that, a lot of incentives. So people actually love to do that. They would, do something, create an adventurous experience, record it, and then go and report back to GoPro. So in this way, actually, the users are creating the experience for others. As we discussed earlier, that a lot of people actually like to relate with people who are like themselves. So yes, a lot of people get influenced by celebrities as well, but people also get influenced by people who have similar tastes and interests like them. So this is the way GoPro is actually creating the concept of UGC, where user-generated content is actually doing the digital marketing for them. This pushes down a lot of budget pressures on digital marketing itself. They have to create a channel, and a lot of people are creating high-quality videos, and then they come back and report that on those channels. Now, on all these different trends and digital future marketing trends, one of the important things that is sort of encompassing the entire equation is geofencing. And geofencing is that if you are in a certain location physically, then how the softwares in your mobile phone actually detect your presence, detect your location, and start showing you things in that particular physical location, which are interesting for you, which is something that you like. So for example, uh, let's say, if let's say you are a book lover and you are walking, let's say in Dubai Mall, and you have traveled from Singapore, and you're walking in Dubai Mall, and suddenly you get a message that you can land into Kinokuniya, the famous Japanese bookstore, and you can just do shopping of books as well. Similarly, if you may be an interested person in Virgin's products of Richard Branson, and you just find a message that there is a Virgin shop here, there is a Starbucks on this floor or that floor. So these are the geotagging messages. This geotagging or geofencing is not just about Ubers and Careens. It is also about everything that we are doing right now. So understand one important thing, that whoever is able to harness the data that is available on social media is going to be a big time winner in the race of digital marketing. Second important thing to understand is that, okay, you have accumulated and collected tremendous amount of data. That's good for you, but unless you don't know what you're supposed to do with that data is going to be a meaningless, piece of information or documentation. And the third thing is that once you have the data and you have analyzed the data, what are the actions that you actually want to generate out of that? And when you start to generate actions and actually start executing them, you have to make sure that you test, build a test, make a prototype, run it, see the result, come back, tweak the software, go readjust, do the campaign, come back, change, adjust, and it's all in the real time. So it's not about experimentation in a lot of these things. So there are plenty of trends. I would say more than 3 dozens that are very, very interesting, not only with digital marketing, but many other branches of business. But again, we have limited time, so I just thought to come up with 10 and have a conversation around them. So this takes me to the final part. If there are any questions, then I would love to answer those questions. Yes, Eva.
So, yeah, can we start with a question from Anna? She's asking, among these trends, which are the most cost efficient? And if there's any way that these trends could be more effective depending on the industry that you're in.
Okay, so number one, most of the trends, if you see, if you, as I said in the beginning, if you look at the underlying trend, which is the foundation of all these trends, is artificial intelligence and machine learning. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to get cheaper and cheaper as time, because the ecosystem has been there now. And that means that things like creating chatbots and all that will become very, very cost effective, very cost efficient within the next few years. A lot of businesses are already using that. As we just talked about, Diva as well, they have created this chatbot from Mars, which is doing well. So this is going to be cost effective, and that's the foundation. If you set up the foundation with artificial intelligence, the rest is all on top of that. And number two, yes, they are going to help the business in many ways in terms of efficiency enhancement, productivity enhancement, creating competitive advantages, and things like that. So imagine about a company today which was serving its customers through a call center, a huge call center, and that call center is no longer working because of coronavirus, and people are sitting in separate location and trying to make a makeshift arrangement. Compare this to the chatbot function, right? So if there's a company which is using the chatbot. Chatbot can handle so many customers at the same time, no fatigue, 24/7, and it will generate a lot of good answers. The only thing is that chatbot would give standardized answers, and the moment you need human interaction for creative, interesting, and complex questions, you need a human. So yes, it's going to be cost effective in the future more and more. Yes, Iba, next question.
Next question. As per your experience, how could AI and automation help in increasing the public awareness in instances like the current pandemic of COVID-19?
Yes, so artificial intelligence can help in terms of creating automated messages, right? And a lot of messages that are being circulated through different mechanisms can be automated and timed. So if there are timed communications that you want to make with your customers and you know the answers, then you can time them using artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence gives you the advantage that it will only do what you teach it to do. So the chances of artificial intelligence making mistakes or let's say becoming emotional are very less. So yes, in some of those communications where you want standardized messages to different people, like for example, public serving campaigns. So you want to create an awareness around, wash your hands, or using sanitizers, using masks and things like that. If you want to create standardized messages with auto reminders, then artificial intelligence can definitely help you. You just have to time it, and then it will keep going on right after one one after the other.
Right. So next question is from
Yes.
Sneha. She's asking about the CTR, which you mentioned, and from her experience, that this is an automated metric tool. Today's reach can be tomorrow's conversion. Do you know a better metric to gauge success of digital ads?
Yeah, look, this is something that you have to try. Many times people ask me questions around these dimensions about the metrics, and I always tell them that one of the challenges with all these social media platforms is that there are big teams sitting and working on algorithms every day. So what is working right now may not work tomorrow. So that means test, test, test. That's the only answer. So you want to get more reach, try X, try B. And from your perspective, I remember that there is a method called A/B testing or alpha beta testing. In that method, what you do is you pick up like 3, 4, 5 variables, and then you start changing those variables one at a time. And then you try to understand the impact of each while keeping the others constant. Then you start shifting the variables like 2 at a time or 3 at a time or a combination of these. I think by doing a lot of testing with these methods, depending upon your product, your service, your consumer base, your social media platform, your geography, you will come up with the best solution. So there's no one size fit all answer for this. It's about experimentation. And if you do a little study on the A/B testing, I'm sure that would help you in cracking the code for this. Yes,
Yes, Sartak is asking, how do you see the impact of AI and other digital marketing strategies for oil and gas industry, from drilling, production to retailing?
well, that's a great question. Actually, artificial intelligence is going to be very, very helpful in the future of oil and gas industry, depending on what we are seeing right now. I mean, I just read an article this afternoon. Somebody was talking about even $10 per barrel price. You know, imagine that kind of a world. So artificial intelligence will actually help enhancing the productivity and efficiency of a lot of oil and gas operations, right? From upstream to downstream, midstream, marketing. Definitely, as the pressure on prices and costs are going to build, a lot of oil and gas companies are already looking towards restructuring, and they will, of course, maintain the essential operations like upstream, midstream, downstream. But when it comes to a lot of office-based stuff, they would like to consider AI-based solutions for marketing. And I think I can see that those people in the marketing arena specifically who will learn about these tools, especially digital marketing, they should be able to survive or probably thrive in the new world of the current oil prices. Yes, Emma.
Can we take one more question?
Yeah, we can take questions.
Sure.
Till you allow.
So, okay, Ahmed is asking if you could explain on calculating the customer lifetime value.
Oh, that's a great question. It's a long answer. It's a long question, long answer. And there's a proper method to do that. I can certainly help with that because that's what we do all the time. But just to summarize, the customer lifetime value, CLV, is a very important concept. And people generally what they do is they look at the customer one time or transactional, or maybe just 6 months data or 1 year data. You have to project the customer for entire life cycle, like 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, or whatever, and then try to see what ultimately you are going to get from the customer. So customer lifetime value is very, very important in today's world. It's going to keep people on toes as well. But instead of looking at a customer from a transactional perspective, we should just look at, and one more thing I think I would say to Ahmad is that, look, customer lifetime value means that the customer is aging as well. Customer is in 20s today, maybe in 30s tomorrow, then 40s, 50s, 60s. So remember that the customer lifetime value will keep on maintaining itself or growing if you also change according to the change in the behavior of the customer. Because a 45-year-old may be wearing a suit, right? compared to his age when he was in his 20s, when he was wearing trainers and t-shirts and jeans and all that. So if you have solutions for the lifetime value of the customer, I think that's where you can really come up with those solutions. As far as the calculation is concerned, that's a little longer mathematical statistical procedure, which we can probably discuss offline or in some other way. It's a little longer to cover the course, the time is up. Yes, sir.
Right. So we have so many questions, and let's see which one we're taking. So this is a question from Anna. She's asking how a company can put in implementation one of these new trends without cannibalizing the selling that is already generating for the traditional marketing methods.
I think it's a great question from Anna, and I think that's where we need to look at the disruptive innovation theory of Clayton Christensen of Harvard. So what's going to happen is that either you react or you preemptively do something. So if you continue to do what you are doing because you don't want to cannibalize some of your current successful methods, then what's going to happen is that either the market reality will shift or one of your competitors will actually go and start doing it. And then your customers will actually come and give you the example of your other competitor, and then you will do it as a reaction. Sometimes you also get benefit in the second mover's advantage because then you can always learn from the mistake of the first mover. But again, many times you get cannibalized yourself. So my reply to the question is that look, eventually, someday, you will get disrupted. You will get disrupted somehow by destiny. So why not disrupt yourself first and go ahead and do something? It's the same example that we used to talk to people that work from home, remote operation, leading virtual teams. These are important concepts. And people would say,
Asim, I don't think
oh,
we can hear you very well.
okay. Any difference than before?
Yes, now it's much better.
Much better. Great. So what I was saying is that it's better to disrupt yourself before you get disrupted by the external forces. And the way to do it is to be a little courageous and go ahead and do it. It's the same thing that people used to tell us that virtual team management, working from home, remote team operation, these are the concepts for tech companies in Silicon Valley. Now look at today's world. Everybody is doing it. Everybody is forced. So those people who are actually prepared to some degree, they are at least able to do well, right? Or at least able to survive. But a lot of people who are not, who did not believe into that, they're actually struggling to learn those things, forcefully. And many times when you do something yourself, you still have the time to plan and think. So I would say don't worry about the cannibalization of the existing methods because they will get disrupted anyway, sooner or later. Yes, Ibu.
So a question from Syed. He's asking, how do you overcome the technology barriers in developing countries where there are no laws in place, and how would you know what are the limitations?
I'm not sure what do you exactly mean by technology barriers, but let me take some assumptions and answer the questions. So when you say technology barriers, probably you are talking about, let's say, a country which doesn't have internet or a country which doesn't have good access of internet across the country for launching a product or things like that. Look, an ecosystem is a very important thing to do anything in the world. Why you are seeing a lot of emphasis on artificial intelligence today? Because the ecosystem has been developed. As I said in the beginning, 27 years ago when I graduated from my engineering degree, we still had this AI boom, but it never got to the level because the ecosystem was not there. The only way for a developing country to remove technology barriers is that you should have some very innovative people in place, number one, go-getters. And number two, the government should be ready to create conducive policies to actually enhance and grow that particular industry. One of the finest examples of this is The shale gas revolution that happened in the US in the 1980s and 90s happened because of a lot of conducive policies. And a lot of countries which have been able to do good on renewable energy, it's because that they created conducive policies and policy support provisions for that industry. So I would say a combination of two things. Number one, government creating conducive policies, incentives for the industry, and there must be some individuals, go-getters, who just don't give up and keep fighting to push the countries to the next frontiers of technology. Yes, Emma.
Right. So our next question is from, I think, Hiba is asking, what is the most important tool to get a successful digital marketing campaign?
Successful tool.
He's asking about
Actually,
the
the most
tools.
success. Yeah. So basically, if you look at the tools, you can have, broadly speaking, there are two tools, right? Either you go with organic or you go with paid. Now, paid can just take you just as much, right? You can have a booster, it can take you somewhere. But at the end of the day, you have to go with organic search and organic leads. I would say one of the best tools that actually help anyone is content. If you create great content, then you can launch it on any social media platform. And without a great content, it is very hard for any artificial boost to create an impact. So I would say there is one thing that you have to focus on is creating great content, whether it's a blog post, whether it's an email, whether it's a blast email, whether it's a video, whether it's anything else, a message. I think content is the king to take your campaigns to the next level.
Right. So the next question is it's a comment from also Sneha. So she's saying that digital marketing should not cannibalize traditional marketing methods unless the target audience is not outlined correctly and the media planning is not done correctly. Marketing today has digital as an integral component and was disrupted almost 10 years ago. What do you think about Sneha's statement?
No, I think Sneha is basically saying the same thing I was saying. Look, marketing, there are people who are more adaptable to your previous methods. If they are part of your customer base, we should continue doing what makes them happy and comfortable. And at the same time, we should come up with the next methods. But I think Sneha's comment is coming up with a perspective and a lot of trends that we are talking about. They have already started. They are already in some phases. So they have already started to eat up some of the older methods. So for example, think about those emails. Well, you can still send emails to 1,000 people, but I mean, tell me the impact. There's no impact, right? A lot of people just don't see, and they just call every email a spam email that comes to their folder from a person who's unknown. Nobody watches those email, and they are like source of frustration. So that method is kind of gone. So traditional marketing methods, we actually have to see when somebody talks about traditional marketing method, that which method they are talking about, and whether the introduction of digital marketing more and more in their new operation is going to really cannibalize it or not. So it depends, what kind of traditional marketing tool somebody is referring to.
Okay. Let me see if we have plenty of questions, and I'm trying to see who's this from. Would you like to carry on and then we can take the questions at the end? Oh, this is the end.
No, I'm actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, because we were at 5, I think, 5 or 10 minutes earlier when I just finished, and then I opened
Yes.
for questions.
So I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I have not taken. So I know we have received a lot of questions asking us about how to register for the next webinars. All our webinars will be posted on our website and on the University of Manchester Middle East Center pages on LinkedIn and Facebook and other media channels. So make sure to visit our pages to register to these webinars. Let's see if we can take a few more questions. I'm trying just to see that I haven't missed any. Okay. I don't know if we visited this question. If chatbots will take on the mundane jobs of replying and personalizing to customers, then what is the future career of the digital marketeers?
Great question. Well, digital marketers are supposed to be working on the creative stuff. So think about creating content in a fast-paced world every day, every hour. Who will do that? A lot of stuff, you know. So creativity will be the key buzzword for humans in the future because mundane, routine, repetitive tasks, they are anyway going to be taken over, not just in digital marketing, but everything else in the future. So it's not just about digital marketers. Everybody has to be working on data, creativity, more innovation, more stuff which actually requires brain power, mental power. So it's a phenomena that's going to hit the workplace for everyone.
Right. Next question. If they're asking if you can give an example or other examples of how companies are using micro moments.
Yeah, great. So micro moment is something that, for example, if I have a micro movement, no company has a crystal ball that they would know that Asim is right now having a micro movement, right? What they can do is to be ready and prepared for that. Let me give you an example from Amazon. So when I was doing my MS from the US, I used to order some of my books through Amazon. And we're talking about almost like many, many years ago, not just like last year. So it's a long time ago. And every time I would open the Amazon database, initially they would ask for my options. And gradually I discovered that the Amazon, whoever is the smart software sitting behind it, is actually started to control my buying. And every time I would open the website, it would show me so many interesting options that on top of my standard textbook, I would end up ordering 2 or 3 or even more books. So if you look back, they definitely created, they were ready for a micro movement. They not only were ready, but they also created a micro movement. So they knew that this guy comes like every month or every quarter on this link, and this is his login detail, and he tries to look at books like this. And it would show me so many interesting options around that particular area. It would also guide me towards different articles and things like that. So it was a perfect example of number one, being ready for the micro movement, and number two, if you capture someone once in a micro movement and you make that person buy something, then how you get hold of that person for future again and again. So it would also ask you if you could share your email or something like that, where it would keep sending you interesting updates. So from books, they would go towards knowledge articles. From knowledge articles, they would go towards interesting scientific experiment books and things like that and gadgets. And then they would add products, more and more products, more and more services towards it. Then interestingly, after coming out of the Amazon site, when I go back to Google and I would open LinkedIn, suddenly LinkedIn would start showing me courses which were related with what I was studying at that point, whether online or through university and all that. And even some of the opportunities would start to pop up from a certain industry. So this is one example that number one, you should be ready. And once you are ready, you make sure that people come and Starbucks is another example. Starbucks is also targeting customers based on persona. And if you go to their website and you are a lover of their new products, they'll make sure that you get really hooked up to their product and site by creating those micro movements. So how you make things so interesting that if a person comes to you once, I mean, take the example of Economist magazine. So if somebody would go and read once, that's like a no movement. I want to know something. So how they would create so many interesting things related with that article that next time you are addicted towards going to that. So I think that is a case of 2, 3 companies which are actually using it in a very effective manner.
Asking, nowadays people are more concerned about their privacy. How much will this be affecting and limiting the data generation and analysis?
I think people are with the latest, the utilization of Zoom. Everybody is also aware that there was also news about the data breaches and all that. I think people are becoming more and more careful, but at the same time, the world is becoming more and more digital. So it would be very hard for individuals to say that I don't want to be on internet or I don't want to share any kind of data, because a lot of data is already there, even very personal social data that's available on Facebook. So I would say that I think yesterday I wrote something over LinkedIn that one of the most thriving industries of future is cybersecurity industry. So we are going to see a lot of work in cybersecurity area in which companies who actually protect companies from data breaches and all that, they are going to help. So number one is technology. Number two, I think legislation. So those who are familiar with European system, they know that Europe is enforcing GDPR, and in the GDPR, they are making sure that individualized data of citizens is very well protected. I can see this GDPR concept extending to a broader world in which there will be legislation to protect individuals' data, and there will be more and more technological support coming from cybersecurity research to protect data of individuals. But saying that individuals will stop coming to social media, well, I really don't think so.
Right. So we have a question. I don't know if you would like to answer that. Is there a future of cryptocurrency? It's related to what is the future of cryptocurrency?
Actually, crypto guys are always looking for people to endorse. So I'm not here to endorse cryptocurrency, but I would say that everything that is safe and protected and makes people's lives easier uh, is going to stay. And everything when it starts in a way that some people perceive it as scam, and there's a speculation also. Some people make big money, some people lose money, and then you go through the normal cycle of legislation, regularization, and then things become sort of part and parcel of life. So yes, I mean, we will have to see how things evolve, because think about it, that if everybody is sitting at home and if you can just deal through cryptocurrency or digital currency, life would be easier. But I mean, this also exposes you big time towards data breaches and security threats and all that. So I think time will tell us how this thing is going to evolve.
Well, that is great. Thank you so much, Asim, for your time and for the insights. We know we had almost 116 participants asking questions. As Asim mentioned, you may reach out to him on LinkedIn. He's available on LinkedIn. If you have any more questions, you can also connect with us. To learn more about our future webinars, they will be posted on our social media platforms on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. Find us under the University of Manchester Middle East Center to register for our future webinars. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Asim, for a great session and very interactive one. I think this is what the future and what the now is about, really, digital marketing and artificial intelligence. Stay tuned to our next webinars. Next week, we have two upcoming ones. One is about how an MBA can help you post-COVID-19. And the next one is to leading through and beyond COVID-19. Both will be posted on LinkedIn. So stay tuned. Thank you all for those who stayed with us till the end and for listening to the presentation. As I said, you can connect straight with Asim or you can email me if you have any questions. But he's the expert on these topics, so reach out directly to him. And I wish you all a very happy and relaxed weekend, wishing that you all stay safely at home. Asim, do you wish to add anything before we end the webinar?
No, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be a part of this webinar. Really enjoyed, and thank you very much for everyone for being patient and listening to me. And thanks a lot for having me, Eva. Thanks a lot.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you all and wishing you all a very good evening. Goodbye. Thank you.